for men, also for women and little girls. Different classes, different types of Go-Peds. There's a Bigfoot Go-Ped and also an X-Ped. And the classes go like this. There's a junior 14 below, 14 and below, pardon me. You've got an amateur that goes from 15 to 34. The vets are 35 and above. And I know there's a pro section too, because there's probably, you guys divide the pros and the amateurs. But we've got coming up, let's mention it real quick before we get to our next email and show some more footage on this sport. But let's talk about the Rialto event. It's July 13th, and where are they going to be?
It's actually at Burris Motor Speedway. It's on the corner of Baseline and Linden Avenue in Rialto. It's right next to Miro Field, which is the Rialto Airport.
Oh, okay.
So that'd be the easiest way to find it. We're actually going to set up track on Friday, and then it's going to be racing all day Saturday, and then most of the day on Sunday. It's
amazing sport. You know, we want to get to another email because we've asked you to log us a question here at cox3.ocnow.com. Let's check out our next email. All right, Sam wrote in, how much are Go-Peds, and where can I get one? That's my question. You know, where can you get one? And when you get there, how much is it going to cost you to go down on an X-Ped or a Bigfoot?
Well, the best place to really look for GoPed is GoPed.com. That's GoPed.com. That'll show you, that's the originators of the product.
Okay.
Excuse me. And they will show you all the different varieties available. They've got non-powered Go-Peds, no motor. They've got electric-powered vehicles, and they've got gas-powered vehicles. So you really have to make a decision on what you want to do. The starting range on products without any motor is relatively cheap. And then there's race motors, or race products, that are relatively expensive. The products that we brought here today are probably in the area of a couple $1,000 because they're built for racing.
Let me ask you this, and Brandon, I know that you guys take pretty good jolts. But the two different ones we have here and that we've been seeing also in the footage, there are no shocks really, so to say, on this thing, is there? There's no shocks or suspension.
There's
really.
no shocks. On the Bigfoot, you have the tires, which have air, so that gives you a little bit of suspension. But with the X-Ped, it's just a solid rubber tire. But on the tracks, it's usually pretty smooth. The jumps, you try to double them so you can land smoother, and it's not too bad.
I'm sure that you got a couple of these. Which one do you like better, the X-Ped or the Bigfoot?
Well, I prefer the X-Ped for freestyle. It's easier to maneuver. But I also enjoy riding the Bigfoot while I'm out on the dirt trails and just cruising around.
Yeah, I know that you guys are traveling. You say cruising around. You're actually traveling to different states, and hopefully you're going to get some international traveling out of this too, Chris. So far, can you name a couple places you've been and a couple demos that maybe stick out in your mind?
Yeah, we just got back from England, actually. We went to the Isle of Man. We did some shows there, and we were in England for the British Nationals, and the core games is really fun. And
Were you pretty amazed at the reaction you got when you went to England? Was it one of those things where like, whoa, these guys are really digging on this?
Yeah, in England, guys were really going crazy over it. They really liked us, and they even made us come back the next night for another show, even though we weren't planning to do it.
Now tell me about this what we're seeing here. Where was this at? This is pretty recent.
Yeah, this looks like the opening race of this year, and it looks like it was in Los Angeles. It was right by Topanga Canyon Mall. And what we had is we had about 1,000 square foot of asphalt, and we come in and we put these wooden jumps in, and we make a track for these guys to go around, and then they just go large.
You know, it'd be so cool is to see this like as a Grand Prix, like in the streets of Orange or something. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, it would.
Close some streets down, put up some of your ramps, and add some of the natural environment. But when a guy goes down, what kind of level are we looking at here? Because these guys, obviously, they know what they're doing. Is this amateurs or is this pro?
That's pro. That guy that actually fell right there is me. Was going a little fast for that jump. Had to put a knee down. Usually fall, just slide on your knees, get back up, and keep on racing.
It seems like when you do fall, because I watched when you fell, it looks like they avoided you pretty easily. Is that something you're able to do? I mean, how fast are we looking at here?
Well, usually top speed in a race of a race Go-Ped is around 32. It doesn't seem like that fast, but really it is because it's quick. You get up to speed in like no time. You have to be able to get out of corners fast and just get on the move.
And Chris, you guys aren't switching gears, are you? It's just a wide open throttle.
One speed, but you could change the drive spindle on there to gain more low end or more top end.
And can you do that while you're actually riding?
No, it's something you do in the pits and practice before the race.
So you really have to fine tune your Go-Ped to figure out what you like.
Yeah. Yeah,
Is that pretty hard? I mean,
no, like for the other guys it might be, but for the pros, pretty much we know what we want and know what we need.
Yeah.
After you ride it once around the track, you'll know what size you need. And
is it more fun, guys, to race on an asphalt track or maybe a hard dirt pack track?
Well, it's just two different fields. Like bicycle tracks are really fun. Got big jumps,
right.
Nice rhythm sections. Where asphalt, you're probably going a little bit faster, hitting wooden jumps, which might be a little bit like easier sometimes, but it's just a whole different field. Like you have to know how to corner differently on both.
I think the most important word you mentioned in that whole explanation there was the word rhythm. This sport is really about rhythm, and same thing on a bike or maybe on a skateboard. Once you get in the rhythm and the flow of it, it's a thing of beauty, isn't it? It's hard to explain unless you actually been there. I guess the best analogy maybe is a powder on a snowboard or a big wave surfing in and out of the tube. Can you guys explain that, the rhythm that you're in and the flow?
Well, it's just, you just got to get into it. You can't be like in a hurry, can't be nervous. Like usually you ride the best. Well, I ride the best when I'm out front because you just calm down. Don't try to get in front. You're just already out there and you're just flowing, just right at your own pace.
That's a great way to put it. I think Jeff Gordon would like to be out front too more often. That's probably when he races the best. But Chris, I wanted to ask you if you could give some advice to the younger kids out there that are going to want to get on one of these. And I'm not picking on you because you smash your face, but obviously safety is definitely a really important factor. The kids out there, you know, we encourage them to wear helmets because you definitely have to wear a helmet. Can you add to that and let us know?
the only thing I could say is pretty much just watch where you're going, pretty much. Stay out of the streets. A lot of the kids, you know, they want to go in with the cars. Just stay out of the streets and obey the laws, and you'll be able to ride.
Yeah, can you add to that, Rick? Because you've got 2 kids, and I know it's not something that you would not let your kids do unless it didn't have some safety factor to it, because obviously, you know, you feel it's safe for them to get on at their skill level, and I'm sure they're padded up.
Right. First of all, helmet mandatory, and if you're going to race in the IGPA, it's full face helmet, just like they were on motorcycles. Elbow pads, typically ProTech elbow pads and knee pads are required. All that is mandatory to race.
Okay.
You know, I don't think a child should ever step on these things unless they've got knee pads, elbow pads, and a helmet on, ever.
What about natural experience? I mean, just seeing what these guys, I mean, you're looking at, you know, I know Ollie on a skateboard is a little bit different than Ollie on a Go-Ped, but the amount of air that they're getting so fast and at such a young age in this sport is really mind-boggling. Your kids have to have a natural progression. Do they learn first how to skateboard? Do they learn first how to ride a bike before they get on a Go-Ped? What's a natural progression there?
Typically in Go-Pedding, the natural progression is go from a no-ped, which is no motor, and it's exactly the same product, and then you go to a stock Go-Ped, and then you go to racing after that with a modified ped.
Okay.
So you start to learn how to walk first and then run.
Yeah. I can imagine, Brandon, that a lot of kids, that guy just about clipped that deck there. He got pretty lucky on that one. I watched that 2 or 3 times to see if he was really that close, and he was that close. Brandon, I know that you're a junior at Mater Dei High School, and a lot of people that watch the show that probably go to school with you have no idea that this is what you do. What do you think they're going to say, like, hey, dude, when did you start doing this Go-Pedding?
Well, they'll probably ask me because it's like a new sport coming up. A lot of people think it's kind of weird that you race the Go-Ped, and a lot of people don't even know what a Go-Ped is. They just think it's kind of odd.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because a lot of people didn't think that skateboarding was such a big deal until Tony Hawk started going to the bank with millions of dollars, and congratulate him on that. But that's the infancy of where we are. I mean, obviously, these action sports have their peaks and valleys, and we'd all like for them just to level off and stay at a main thing. But something like that, would that be a dream come true if you're in that caliber with a Go-Ped someday? Yeah,
that'd be awesome. I'd really love for it to get that big, where you can make a living doing it, having fun, traveling all around the world, doing shows, racing, and just hanging out with friends.
Yeah, I think that's the key, too. Obviously, you guys are good friends, and I know Rick is right there with you, and the sport is really cool.